Hello and welcome back. My name's Ash, this is The Outside Line, and welcome to my brand new series, The Hot Lap, where I'm going to rapidly go through my opinion on a current motorsports issue. My take might be hot, it might be cold, but the one thing you can guarantee is it's going to be blazing fast. I'm going to do the whole thing in under 6 minutes. That includes intro, outro, and titles. That's why it's called The Hot Lap, which I appreciate in not every circumstances. 6 minutes isn't necessarily a hot lap. Maybe for the Nordschleife, it's pretty quick. Not necessarily for Monza. And see, that right there is also why I'm going to struggle with this format, because I ramble and I go off on tangents. So I'm going to be laser sharp. I'm wasting time. Let's go for a hot lap. And we start our hot lap with Stefano Domenicali. So he has announced that F1 is going to try and get a second US race in a season, trying to grow the audience in America. It feels like something F1 has been trying to do pretty much my entire life. They've constantly been trying to get the approval of America, try and muscle in on, what is a very motorsports loving country. They've obviously got IndyCar and NASCAR, and F1 wants to kind of muscle in on that. I don't think we should, and there are multiple reasons. The first reason is I think F1 should focus more on being a world championship. At the minute, we do not have a race in Africa. Now, there is news recently that we are probably going to go back to Africa, to Kyalami, which is great news, but there are lots of other places that I think we could visit ahead of going to America a second time. Africa's one of them. India is a big motorsports loving country. I loved the round we had in India. It's a shame that we don't go to the Bud International Circuit anymore. I'd rather do things like that. I'd rather go to more countries, more continents, not many continents left, but more races in Africa is kind of what I'm saying, ahead of going to America again. Also, let's cover the fact that the actual calendar is busy enough as it is. Like, I grew up and it was 16, 17 races a season, and it's grown and grown and grown. And to be honest, I've enjoyed more races, but now I think we're getting to the tipping point. I think 18 to 21 races should be the max, because then you just get overload. It just gets too much. I would rather see other races than have to go to America twice. In fact, there's races on the calendar now that I'd rather take off right before we add another American race. Then there's the whole other thing of trying to muscle in on America. F1 has tried to do this before. In the late 70s and throughout the 80s, it was a regular occurrence to have two races in America. For a long time it was United States Grand Prix East, United States Grand Prix West, so they literally have one on each coast, and that was split between Long Beach and Watkins Glen. So they'd have those two races. But even at its height, let's be honest, IndyCar, or Champ Car as it was known at the time, and NASCAR, they are homegrown racing series with good racing and a majority American field. F1 is never going to compete with that, because F1 is not American. It wasn't born in America. It hasn't got mostly Americans involved. And I apologise if you're an American F1 fan, that is going to seem like a bit of an insult, but they prefer seeing the homegrown series. They just prefer it. It's great that F1 will come and it will be successful, and there's a lot of American F1 fans. It's probably grown to probably the highest it's been, but it's never going to replace that. Let's flip it round, for example. NFL is becoming very popular over here, especially since they've had a few more events take place at Wembley Stadium. Is it ever going to replace football, what we call football, soccer as the rest of the world calls it? No, it's not. Of course it's not. Football, as we know it, is never going to get overtaken by NFL. NFL can grow in popularity, of course, but it's never going to get replaced by it. And it's the same for Formula 1. As long as Formula 1 is popular and has a good audience within the motorsports community, great. I don't think we need a second race there. If people are particularly bothered about, say, people getting to see it because it's in Texas every year, it's like what they did with United States East and United States West. It's got a Grand Prix on the West Coast. Well, what about all the people on the East Coast? They're not going to travel across. Well, okay, there's a simple fix for that. As we saw last year with the affected 2020 calendar, having different circuits brightens things up a bit. It's pretty good. So why do we have to stay at Circuit of the Americas every season? Why can't we go about? Why can't one year we visit Indianapolis? I don't know what state Watkins Glen is in these days. I don't think it's a grade one, but why can't we, for argument's sake, do up Watkins Glen and visit Watkins Glen? Why can't we visit different circuits? As long as it's not a Las Vegas car park. Otherwise, great. Move the American Grand Prix about. I just don't think we should have two Grand Prix for the sake of that. But I appreciate F1 is a business, and it goes to places it probably shouldn't already based on that. And obviously there's a lot of controversy about Saudi Arabia and Russia as well for the same reason. Personally, I don't think we should go to Russia just because it's a track. 2 races in America for multiple reasons. I don't think we should do it. I would love to know what you think. Remember though, 3 big rules with this new series. Number 1, it's just my opinion. Other opinions are available. I can be wrong, it's just an opinion and I'm just sharing it. Number 2, it's only a bit of fun. Calm down, dear. And number 3, I would love to hear your opinion, whether you agree with me or not. As long as the discourse is respectful and people aren't getting angry or saying names, as Josh Revel would say, don't be a Marnus. Great, I'd love for you to get involved and hear your thoughts about this as well. And that is a hot lap completed. I'll try and do that with as minimal edits as possible. I will probably cut out some pauses, but I'm going to try and get it under 6 minutes. Bang. I'm not going to do one of these every week. I'm not going to force myself to try and have an opinion on things. If there's something that catches my eye, I'll do one of these videos. Like, especially if it's a slow news week as well. Like, oh, what's the biggest news of the week? Oh, Nico Hülkenberg's had a salad. I hate salads! Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Obviously not. Whenever something comes up, we'll go for another hot lap. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Love to hear your thoughts on the issue from this week. And hopefully I will see you again soon for the next one. And breathe.